So we stand in front of Dollar Tree and basically
such as this thing here.
All right, I'm excited to have a guest.
Metal right here, of course, everyone is. Cuba is like they're under a dictator.
RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. We are connecting for a Sunday night edition of the People's Talk Show. I'm excited to connect. Couldn't pass by the opportunity to talk about that 60-minute debriefing from the current administration on where the economy's at and how optimistic this current president is about the future. Just because there's just so much stuff is comical in nature. But when I saw the words, the pandemic is over, to me, that was that trigger word of like, okay, we're on to the next phase of this whole push towards building back or destroying and try to rebuild back in accordance to what the globalists want. But anyway, hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to the live stream. Definitely want to connect with you guys and hear what's on your mind as well. This will be a very interesting week, to say the least, coming up with the Fed's decision to continue to tighten into a greater depression and everything in between. But anyway, let me know where you're watching from. Any first-time viewers, would love to acknowledge your presence. Thank you for being a part of the community. And let me know where you guys are watching from. Is also feel free to throw out thoughts, ideas, suggestions. And I got maybe 4 or 5 articles, just some headlines that caught my attention this weekend, and bring it to your attention for those who may not have plugged in much over the weekend, and then open up the phone lines and get your guys' thoughts. So let's check in right away and see what we got here. We have Mr. Tim Gibson. How you doing, my friend? Appreciate you. It's over, but get your shot, right? We got Doubting Thomas checking in as well. Appreciate you. We got New Church of Philadelphia checking in as well. Mr. King D, appreciate you, man. We got Gold and Silver Man as well. We got Concept Quad checking in as well. I sent you a link on bank robbery. That it happens to be the Lebanese situation. I can grab that as well. Yeah, we're familiar with that. JBW from Hawaii. How you doing, my friend? Mr. Ed checking in as well. Appreciate everybody for taking time to bless me. Mr. TB in the building. We got Gene checking in as well. Paul from Eugene. Appreciate you guys, man. And then got a nice quote. Some thoughts that William Blair says, "Hey, Mike, and other free-thinking contrarians is an amazing how few people think out the sheep pen." Definitely. Very true. I think a lot of it has to do with everybody being overly frustrated and wanting to get back towards, living and enjoying life the way that they did prior to the start of this reset that was thrown our way. What was it, 2 years ago now, give or take? And so a lot of people don't want to even think about that stuff anymore, man. They want to try to get back to normal, whatever that means. And they've played their part by participating in things of that nature for the average person that wants to ignore it. But it's not going nowhere, not at all. And that's why I want to share my thoughts on this whole Biden statement. We got Ed checking as well. Says, question, did anyone remember Joe saying he was going to do something really extreme on the climate situation coming up? I have no clue what he meant. He said it about a week ago. Definitely. And so I did play a clip. I think I still might have that clip as well. And so take everything that you hear from the mainstream media as well as from this current administration with a grain of salt, just because literally even in the interview for that 60 minutes when he was sitting down, he had a playbook on his lap, literally maybe an inch thick. And I'm thinking like, okay, whatever instructions he needs or whatever questions, pre-scripted questions were given to him, if he fumbled his words or needed to gather his thoughts, he could just turn the page, 20 with that same question and brush up on the answer that he's supposed to give. So, but that playbook on his lap during that speech let you know that he's not the one doing all the talking. He's just a puppet they're talking through, in my opinion. But anyway, all right, so let's keep moving, man. Let me jump into some headlines. So so for those who have not, I encourage you, join the Telegram page, because I try to, as stuff comes across my way, I try to just pass it right through Telegram. So there's more articles there that I wouldn't be able to bring up because we'll be just going through the events as they unfold. But I'll pull some of the more important ones, I think. And just on the good news, let me just share it with you real quick. Heading into tomorrow morning, it looks like the indices futures are currently in the green for the Dow and the S&P. So that's a good sign. But as always, something can turn the opposite direction before tomorrow markets open. But I was anticipating, but based upon what the FedEx and everybody and mother shining light on that narrative that the CEO mentioned about a world recession in 2023, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Monday's going to open up in a negative. It's going to be a blood Monday." Yeah, give it time. It would definitely is going to be red this week continuously because Jerome Powell and the FOMC about to share some very bad news for the markets pretty soon. All right, let's jump into some headlines real quick. Very first thing, let me actually, so I'll play this for you, then I'll talk about it a little bit. So I grabbed a little excerpt real quick. Just listen to this real quick and let me know your thoughts.
First Detroit Auto Show in 3 years.
Yeah.
Is the pandemic over?
The pandemic is over. We still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot of work on it. But the pandemic is over. If you notice, no one's wearing masks. Everybody seems to be in pretty good shape. And so I think it's changing, and I think this is a perfect example of it.
All right, so it's over. It's official. Whew, we can put it behind us now. We don't have to worry about that no more. Oh okay. Yeah, so curious to get your thoughts on that. And so when I saw that, I'm like, man, let me go ahead and log in and just share my 2 cents on that, just because, as I mentioned before, you hear that type of stuff, it's just on to the next. And we know all this is about dialing down prior to the whole midterms to try to lessen some of the extreme policies and to basically come out and literally lying now and saying that we didn't say that. We didn't say defund the police. We didn't. And I've seen more than enough clips where people just put sound bites together to just highlight how every single liberal politician jumped on a bandwagon towards the agenda in the prior administration. And to this point now, everybody wants to play the blame game towards Trump as if and the MAGA. So he talked a lot about the MAGA Republicans and things of that nature. Yeah. It's very interesting. But anyway, my point was when I saw this article here about this whole pandemic being over, first thing came to mind is, but he's still operating under these emergency powers. And just to show you that beyond what he said and what the headlines will run with tonight and tomorrow about the pandemic being over, we're still under the emergency authorization that was extended again for the same health situation. And so time will tell whether or not it's extended again, which in my personal opinion, it probably will be, just because it gives the Medicaid, Medicare, as well as the government the right to continue to provide quote unquote free treatments heading into this current flu season, which of course Fauci and all of the other people already made it clear it's going to be a rough one. And of course, it has nothing to do directly, in my opinion, with the actual flu bug or influenza bug. It's going to be more so the participants that have already injected their body with things. It's going to be the response to anything that comes their way that will be used as a narrative for the illness. But another little headline here, I can thumb through that as well, but this is what I was trying to find out more of. And so this is from July. And so it says the public health emergency was extended in the U.S. And so we're not out of the water with this whole health narrative crap until it's set to expire on October 13th. So we literally have almost another month. And it's good to say between now and then they're going to extend it, but they're going to do it on a hush-hush, just because this pandemic over narrative is just literally a political stunt, in my personal opinion, due to the political season is underway and everything like that. So that's just my current thoughts on that. But real quick, share with you some headlines, some things I highlighted here just to shine more light on this. But here's a quote here. It says, Joe Biden, the pandemic is over. Biden said in the portion of the segment in Detroit Auto Show today, which is, I've been auto showing a good little minute, but we still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot to work on it, which is they're rolling out a new experimental injection with minus any testing whatsoever. And because it still qualifies under the EUA, then it's going to be rolled out, and more likely people will probably still decide to get in line and take those things. So yeah, more power to them. But he says, if you're not noticing, no one's wearing masks, right? But that whole part where they're doing this interview is closed off just because he's there. So it's good to say there was not many people in that vicinity, period. But then again, I'm sure, like, you can probably agree, there's more than enough people out and about still, even probably some of your family and friends that will still wear masks. We're well past that phase of the initial announcement of that. But then he talks about a little bit about the inflation numbers and how he was trying to make it seem as if, they're coming down. And the interviewer mentioned, like, that's still not good. He was like, yeah, but it's not going higher. So this is entertaining, man. But anyway, something worth paying attention to. So I'd love to get your thoughts on that as well. And on another note, on the international front, I thought this was well worth bringing to your attention as well, because we're fresh off the SCO meeting, and we know Iran officially applied, and I think they might have even been accepted. I'm not sure what the process is, but freshly off this meeting, Turkey decides to try to put their application in as well. And so what's interesting about this, as it says here, the first NATO member. And so this definitely will throw a little wrinkle in the Western's agenda when it comes to trying to further that NATO push towards isolating Russia. So it's good to say NATO will respond unfavorably. So Erdogan's going to have some decisions to make, but it's good to say that they've already made their choices in trying to go towards Russia, just with the implementation of the Russian payment system within Turkey shows us where Erdogan will be swaying towards if it comes down to it. So, but this is just another country out of the blue that's deciding to jump ship and go east. So more than likely, it's going to be a lot more nations, as I mentioned before, deciding to remove themselves from the dominance of the West, and therefore eventually not necessarily relying upon the dollar as a primary medium of trade, especially amongst all those different blocks. We got the SCO, we got the Eurasian, we got the BRICS. And so there will be no direct dollar trades within those countries when they do business. And so that leads us closer to the announcement of some other payment method outside of dollars. So that's definitely going to be some information we hear more about pretty soon. And then on another note, it's very sad and unfortunate, but it's very suspicious to say the least, all of Puerto Rico. And this is as of, I think, 50 minutes ago, or what was this? This was, this is updated 2 hours ago. And so I'm not sure if it's come back on, but it says all of Puerto Rico without power after Hurricane Fiona makes landfall. And what's very suspicious about this is that storm was bringing 85-mile-per-hour winds. So I was under the impression, and we were reported upon, that it was a Category 1, if I'm not mistaken. And so 5 years ago, there was something a lot more catastrophic than that. It was one of the highest categories, and it completely decimated the island, and there was not as many power outages. So my spidey senses is tingling with this one, just because something is not right here. And so I think this probably put more pressure on Puerto Rico on top of what they're trying to do on the political scene within that country there. So definitely need to be praying for the people of Puerto Rico, because it's unfortunate for the most if that is true. And then on another note here, in reference to energy, here is something that was given to us. What did this come out at? This was fresh off the press today from Wall Street Journal in relation to energy price within this country here, and how we're already reaching some all-time highs. And this is pretty much flown under the radar, especially here in Detroit, Michigan area. I haven't really seen or noticed much. But electric bills soar across the country as winter looms. And so, as I mentioned before, based upon what's happening in the EU area, and they're, of course, using the Ukraine situation as a primary excuse, but it's ultimately the EU decided to put sanctions, which was a deliberate cutoff of energy, putting their own people in a tight bind. And then on this side of town, we've been basically unleashing our own energy to help them out, leaving ourselves kind of high out to dry, at the same time that we're going to have some issues pretty soon. And one of the things that caught my attention, what it just says here, from New Hampshire to Louisiana, customers' electricity rates are increasing. The Energy Information Administration anticipates the residential price of electricity will average 14.8 cents per kilowatt hour, which is up 7.5% from last year. And then it says the U.S. CPI for electricity in August climbed to 15.8 over the same month a year ago, the biggest such 12-month increase since 1981. And so those small pennies add up, especially depending on your financial situation. So, but once again, it's just the beginning here. So we will see how this plays out. But curious to get your guys' thoughts, as well as whatever else you guys might want to touch on. Those are just a couple of things that I came across worth mentioning. So let's open up the phone lines. I definitely want to hear from everybody. Let me get this up here. And if you have not, definitely hit that thumbs up button. Show your support for the channel. A simple click goes a long way. Or highlight at Rethinking the Dollar, something to jump out, and we will try to touch on that. And earthquakes. I did see something about earthquake as well. That's definitely out there. What else we got? Puerto Rico, no power. I had not heard that. Yeah. So that's where there's a lot more stories that I can touch on that I put in the Telegram, but we'll be talking about what's happening rather than just trying to keep each other encouraged, as well as aware of opportunities amongst all this, just because the clock is ticking. This pandemic narrative is basically is dying down. They can't really use it as a primary catalyst for any type of extreme political measures. And so they're going to move on to something else. And that's what I want to actually cover, because everybody in the mama right now is anticipating something September 24th or whenever it might be, but definitely something this remainder of the year. And it's definitely something we should keep an eye out for, because it might be in small pockets throughout the country, but then eventually make its way to the rest of the country. So let me make sure my phone is on. So yeah, give me a call. Let me know what's going on. Didn't plan on being on long, but just wanted to check in and see what was going on and find out what else is happening. Category 1 is the biggest. It says category 1 is the highest, but the winds were a lot higher last time. The third world country, their stuff falls down easily. Yeah, but you would assume that it wouldn't have knocked out the entire island. And so here's just a little visual aid copy. So this was from earlier, but even last time, I think it was Hurricane, was it Mariah, if I'm not mistaken? It knocked out portions. It wasn't the entire island. And so to me, it's very suspicious as to how something that is not extremely disastrous happened to knock out the country. So here's just a little visual map here from earlier showing what was happening here. It says neighborhood houses without power, and that's 1.4 million households, with winds over southern portion of the island having gusts of 80 to 100. But elsewhere, winds have been much lesser, despite the grid is continuous at best. So, yeah, very concerning, man. It impacts people's lives. Definitely changes your plans for sure. Let me see here. So Roger Rose says FDA wants you to register your garden now. That sounds completely normal. Okay, I wasn't familiar with that. Let me look this one up. FDA register garden. And so I did see a report that I think it's an Amish farm in Philadelphia, or I'm sorry, Pennsylvania, was raided, or the government showed up basically telling them to shut things down. They couldn't sell certain types of produce unless it met qualifications at the government standards and yada, 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 which is something new, but very timely to say the least. But here's something that says USDA wants you to register your garden. And so it's expanding its People's Garden Initiative. So there's a People's Initiative Garden to include eligible gardens nationwide, school gardens, community gardens, urban farms, and small-scale agriculture and rural commerce, or whatever, are to recognize as People's Garden if they register on USDA website. So yeah, okay. So they categorize people growing their own food, put it in a nice package called the People's Garden. And in order to do that, you have to register your garden. So that's something new. Not sure if that's been well enforced as of yet, but if you are providing options for people to eat and they don't know about it, they coming for you. Not surprising whatsoever. Anyway, give me a call. Let's talk. Just community gardens. Okay. Dry run for FEMA Region 9. Let me see. It says 70 states are following California's banning gas cars in 2026, and a bunch are taking them to court. 17 states. Yeah, I would assume, based upon recent heat wave that came through Cali and the extreme pressure on the grid and them telling people to not charge their cars, should be more than enough of an example of the lack of reliability on green energy at this current moment when we have no real infrastructure set up. And so that's just shows the stupidity in what they're trying to force on people. But who's surprised, to say the least? What else we got here? I guess I need to set my own reminder. Remember, what me remember? Make these South Bay. All right, let's get these calls here. Let's see what we got here. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike, Tim, Colorado.
Tim, what's going on, my friend? What's on your mind tonight?
Not much. I'm just trying to support you, brother.
Appreciate you, man. It's always good to hear your voice. How's things out in your neck of the woods, man?
Yeah, same as you, I'm sure.
100%, man. How's the missus doing, man?
The missus?
Yeah.
She's doing great, actually. Thank you for asking.
That's good, man. Tell her I said hello. I haven't heard her because she used to call in with you back in the day, so it's been a while.
Yeah, hold on for a minute. Hey, honey, get out here. Hold on. Okay, I don't mean to hang you up.
It's
You're doing a great job, Mike.
Appreciate it, my man. I appreciate the support.
Yeah, no, you're doing a great job. Hurry up, hon. Okay, here she comes. Here she comes, Mikey.
Hey
Hey,
there.
what's up, Mike?
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
That's good. I just wanted to, I asked him how you were doing. So it's been a while since I heard both you guys on the line. So I just want to say hello to everybody. Hope you guys are doing well.
Well, I'm not sure if I've ever talked to you, but I follow you on Facebook when you post.
Yeah,
Well, nice.
that's good, man. Well, I'm glad you guys connected.
I'm trying to remember everything you've told him about how to calm down your mind when all you can think about is the world's going to hell.
Hey,
Because
simple.
he
It's
actually
simple.
sits there and says, I think I'm going to break. And I'm like, so yeah, I started this let go and let God thing because that
100%.
seemed to calm
I'm
me down.
ready to break, Mike. I'm ready to break.
No, man, you got to pray. Hey, you just got to pray hard. You got to press in harder, man. And then, of course, get in your word and find an appropriate word for whatever you're experiencing and just meditate on it. And sooner or later, the peace of God will come in and it should sweep it right on through until the next day. It's a daily process, man.
Hey, that is the serious truth.
Yeah, man. But hey, I appreciate you calling, man. I just want to say hi. Thanks for calling, man.
All right.
Be good.
Hey,
Great night.
I hope we hear from low blood pressure and Tony, my brother.
I see TB checking in, so he might call in. I'm sure he got something good for us. But be good, people.
All right.
Appreciate
I love you, man.
Love you too, man.
You be safe.
Be good.
okay?
Will do. Same to you.
Okay.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right, let's talk. What else is going on? So if you guys want me to, I can go into the Telegram chat. I can grab some stuff. I was just trying to give you guys a chance to let your voice be heard, but I got more than enough articles of things that would definitely catch you by surprise. So let me just give you this next one here. Just the headlines alone, there's enough to get your attention, let you know what's going on. So here is a juicy one. Just going into food and the inability for ranchers as well as farmers to continue to run business smoothly. You can't run operations without any financing. And so here's an interesting headline here. It says bank finance to livestock farming remains low. And so this is, of course, overseas, but it's happening everywhere. And so farmers not being able to get loans needed to be able to grow their crops on top of the additional costs they're experiencing with the increased issues and supplies, fertilizer, things of that nature. So that's something we're going to experience probably next year. Hello, caller. Which name are you calling from?
Mike, Tony from Oakland. How you doing?
TB, one more time, man. Good to hear your voice. What's going on
One
with you?
more again, brother. One more again. and Tim, you just go within, man, and keep talking to the spirit, man. It'll guide you where you need to be.
Yeah, man. What's in your mind?
100%. I just wanted to push back with all these things that they're throwing out there when it comes to numbers.
Yeah.
You have to remember from 2020 up until roughly October of this past year.
Yeah.
We were in crisis mode, and so the numbers they're throwing out is like, oh, from this point on, and it's always from last year.
Yeah.
Of course, those numbers are going to look bad.
Yeah.
I mean, we were shut down, we were closed down, we were locked in, we were a whole lot of things, but we wasn't up and running.
Right.
So now that we're up and running, we just need to be careful with the numbers we're throwing out there because it'll shock a lot of people.
Yeah. And
a lot of people don't think it's true, but it's old numbers.
Right. And on top of that, the numbers are, not they're catering toward their agenda. And while you were talking, I put up shadow stats with the alternative measurements of being able to use those same basket of goods in comparison to what they should be if you were using, say, 1980 or 1990 measuring tools. They're a lot higher anyway. So They're lowballing the numbers, basically, is what I'm saying.
As much as I love Shadow Stat,
Mm-hmm.
his what do you call it?
Metrics.
His numbers, his measurements are out of whack because they don't go by those numbers anymore.
They don't.
And
Right,
once
they
you
don't. But then again, why is that? Who does that benefit? Who does that benefit by them altering and removing things and tweaking the algorithms of their own measurements? Who does that help? Them or us?
Well, no, it doesn't help anybody because you know why?
It helps them because they couldn't find 2% for the last 10, 15 years. And if you're looking at John's shadow stats, it was already 6, 7. Even if you go to Chapwood Index, which is probably a little bit more accurate based upon geographical regions, we were already 9, 10 for everyday goods and services. So those numbers are, how come they couldn't find 2%? It was right there all along until COVID, excess couple trillions, some things hits the market. Now the numbers are becoming more obvious. Now they got to sugarcoat them more than 8.2 and 8.1, and next month's gonna be 7. You know what I'm saying? So they're trying to deceive the public with these numbers as well. So I do agree with you.
No, and now I'm about ready to bust Shadow Stats wide open.
Okay.
Because all they do is lie, cheat, and change the numbers.
Mm-hmm. Who's they? So John Williams or the Fed?
The Fed changes those numbers.
Right.
And and once you figure out that they doing dirt, and then they change those numbers,
mm-hmm.
and then they say something else.
Right.
And meanwhile, we're just going down that path of decrease
mm-hmm.
rather than increase.
Right.
That because the banks aren't loaning out any money.
Right. It's parked. Those funds are being parked in the reverse repo situation, which happens to run extremely parallel with the current inflation metrics when you overlap them. And it's basically the idea that the money is waiting to touch the streets. If that 2+ trillion touch the streets, then all hell gonna break loose. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
No. The repo
mm-hmm.
is just derivatives. It's gone bad.
But it's fun. It's funds parked at the Federal Reserve, which is capital from the banks. Am I wrong with that or?
No, it's the funds that are parked at the Federal Reserve are bank reserves.
Mm-hmm. But belong to who?
And you can't. They belong to the Feds that had pumped $7 trillion into the bank's coffers.
Mm-hmm.
So what the banks do is when their money is running low, they'll take take some of that repo money and turn it into bonds.
Mm-hmm.
They got cash now.
Yeah.
So that's all they're doing, and now the Fed has to pull that money back out.
Mm-hmm.
So what are they going to do? How they do that?
It has to go somewhere
without pain. You know, there's somebody on the other end of that's
right.
going to feel that pain. Feel that pain.
The consumers. If it hits the economy. If it hits the economy.
No, it doesn't have to hit the economy. It's going to end up painful for the 401ks,
mm-hmm.
for the retirement plans,
mm-hmm.
for the teachers union,
mm-hmm.
for Dow. And it's been that way. Look how much we've lost over the last 6 months.
Yeah.
In the Dow.
Yeah.
That's where the money's going. Somebody has to lose when that Dow goes down.
Right. 100%.
And it's usually the 401ks and the teachers unions and things like that is put into it.
Right.
And you just start money dwindling. And after 5 years, you'd be like, damn, I was pretty good 5 years ago. And then where'd the money go? Charles Schwab's still in business. He ain't lost nothing.
Right. Well, hey.
So it's only you.
Right. Well.
So
no, go ahead.
Get your money out.
Yeah, 100%.
Get your money out. Get your money out. Put the cash on the sidelines and wait for a rainy day.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, hey, appreciate your calling as always, man. Good to hear your insights, my friend.
You too.
Be good.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good stuff, people. So I see some counter statements out there about inflation and people not buying the bonds. So yeah, feel free to call in and share your thoughts on that. I'm not in no way trying to defend the Fed. I know ultimately, as I always say, there's no financial future in a Federal Reserve note. So we all know how this ends. Just look at other countries and the extreme situations they experience. If the Fed don't pivot, that's game over. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Philip.
How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind?
Yeah, so I wanted to add to you, what's his name, Kibi?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So basically, you know that the stock market's not going to crash because a few years ago I discovered that they talked about what they call an exchange stabilization fund,
Right.
which means the stock market will never crash because they'll just pump they'll pump money right into it.
Right. Yep.
And you know that the government can't print money or borrow money unless the stock market's good, right? That's why Trump was hailing a good stock market. And then as he got out and gave it to Biden, then what happened?
Yeah, but also remember that part of the great financial crisis when markets tanked due to the subprime situation, TARP, and they came out and told the government, we got 30 minutes before the market, whatever. And sure enough, there were some extreme measures given. Then that started the whole QE round. So stock market wasn't too favorable. And of course, the exchange stabilization fund that's established to make sure that they can come in and be that buffer. But what if they choose not to? Because they're wanting to actually have more pain and more economic issues so that they can roll out some other agendas along with this. So, but I get you. They can actually come in and save it. Yeah, sure. But maybe they don't want to. Maybe they want more pain.
If they don't save it,
mm-hmm.
then they fear the loss of confidence in the dollar, along with also they're in a predicament as well because if they don't bring out a UBI or continue with what they call stimulus.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're called stimulus, but I call it UBI.
Yeah.
Right. Or they're starting it. They can't keep doing it because that'll it'll cause inflation to go up. But if they do it also, you're gonna lose confidence in the dollar as well.
I think that's inevitable. And, it depends on who you're concerned with that confidence remaining, because as we're witnessing all the stuff happening out east with Russia, China, and all those formations of new unions, that right there is a sign that the confidence is not there on an international stage. Here domestically, people don't know that, the currency has already been weaponized against them. So I don't think that'd be an issue right up front. That'll be probably some years down the line for people to realize it was their own currency itself. So I don't think that's something they're really even concerned about. But I think it's about keeping this illusion until this whole midterm situation plays out. And then inevitably there's going to be some type of correction of some kind, just because they're fighting inflation ultimately. So if they don't continue to expand the monetary base to keep this credit system going, there's going to be a seize up of the credit markets and stuff like that, and an implosion of the bond market. So it can, the pin that pricked the bubble can come from anywhere, any angle, any moment if they let it. But the question is, do they want this to happen, or will they prolong it? I think that's my 2 cents on it.
Mike Maloney's Hidden Secrets of Money has basically played this whole scenario out. And then if you do what's his name? It's at the tip of my tongue, but it's the Requiem for the American Dream. Requiem for the American Dream. It's anyways, but in there it says, Alan Greenspan's talking. It doesn't matter what the debt of America is, because I was trying to call in right when you guys closed out yesterday, but I was trying to call in. But basically, Alan Greenspan said that it doesn't matter what happens, we'll just print the money.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean,
so it doesn't matter 20 trillion, 30 trillion.
But he's talking about defaulting. He's about defaulting on U.S. debt. He said that that's not possible because they can just print it. That's defaulting on the debt directly, which that's not an issue. I'm not worried about that. Like he made it clear, you're gonna get paid. You're gonna get your Social Security checks and all stuff like that. But the question is, what will it buy you? You know what I'm saying? So
exactly, because if they transfer to another system, they're gonna keep to their prior obligations, but you're just not gonna get what. I mean, you can get what you're promised, but you're not gonna get what you were promised.
There'll be no purchasing power, ultimately speaking. So that's why I love using this visual aid here, because, like I said before, Joe Biden will be the last administration under this current payment structure, current financial system. And that's why he signed the executive order 14067 talking about CBDCs and all the things that come with that. And that's his baby moving forward, just because there's not much left in this current structure. We've reached our end, and now it's time to begin something new. So it's inevitable. It's just a matter of when and how.
I'm in North. This is something I'd like for you guys to discuss tonight before I get off.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm in North Dakota, right?
Okay.
So we're dealing with Fufang or whatever that thing is. Just a mill plant. China.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of speak going on, right? So China doesn't give a shit about the money,
right?
You know, they want the infrastructure, so they want the utilities. Oh, okay, you know, we let you borrow that money, but you know, you can default, but you're going to default by giving us utility. You're gonna give us that military base, and you're gonna, you know, And it's happening right underneath the American side.
We want land. Give us
land.
land.
and it's happening right in that fault. You know, I feel it. Like the politicians are just lying straight to us as they're just handing the keys over.
Yeah, man. And so right here on the screen, I got an article about the China's Fufang Group plans to build the first U.S. plant in Dakota's Grand Forks. And so we mentioned that in the past a little bit as well. So right next to the military base. So how far are you from that? How far are you from all this?
Literally like a few miles.
Now, do you see a large presence of
big
Asian?
Controversy.
Is there like a large Asian community developing, already been there, or what?
To believe it or not, it's Somalian.
Really?
This is So I was from Florida, and so when I came up here, we were doing a remodel on the Wilkerson Hall, which is the UND University, North Dakota. So it's basically a big ass cafeteria. That's what we were remodeling, the kitchen and all that. So anyway, I came up here, and there's just a lot of natives and a lot of Somalians. The natives are native here, right? So I'm just seeing the Somalians and stuff, and so I don't see many Asians as part of the community, but they are a part of the school. And when I did speak to quite a few of them, a lot of them are going to school for pilots.
For pilots?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, I wondered that is that like, you know, just by choice, or could a good portion of those people be there for assignment of some kind? Because they've been chosen to do the aviation side of things for whatever they're going to be doing for their future career plans within our country or abroad.
Propaganda would have you believe that they're possibly insurgent, you know, like sleeping cells, I guess you could call them.
Right.
But you know, who knows, right? But I do know that there's a lot of diversity out here, whether you call it sanctuary or not, I don't know. But I do know that there is a big controversy with the Fufang and the townspeople with that. And right now, you know, there's a lot of controversy too, because we had a Somalian man kill a local, and he only got 30. He got a plea bargain and got 35 years. So,
really,
you know, we're dealing with our own. But then again, that comes with, you know, California and Texas and all the I guess, you know, the immigration here now. I guess just recently, I now just woke up to what was it, Martha's Vineyard now with what was going on with that.
Yeah, influx of 53, I think, is they call it a humanitarian crisis.
Right. Well, yeah. So that was just food for thought too, because you know, if we, you know, everyone's making those jokes like, who do we owe the money to? Well, if we owe the money, well, at the end of the day, if they don't want it,
they don't want it.
You know,
it serves no purpose. They want something real, man. They want something real. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you calling, my friend. Keep us posted on what's happening in the neck of the woods too. Appreciate you, my friend.
Thanks.
Yep.
Bye.
Yeah, good stuff, man. That's real live reporting from the ground in an area where there's a heavy Chinese presence and they have an agenda there. And so, in the 1%, I appreciate you, my friend, for that love offering. Thank you. What else? I see Vince Grant. Appreciate your blessing, my friend. Where you go? Let me find that real quick. It says the reset is coming, Mike. Sit back, relax, and watch the movie unfold. Yeah, and it's one of the things. So, Vince, man, you know, it's ultimately speaking, these things must occur. They're just natural occurrences that happens throughout life. Everything, as I always say before, spiritual at the foundation of things is taking us towards something where we're going to experience something of biblical proportions, and it's not the end of the world. But it's just that what type of movie will this be? Will it be a horror flick? Or it's more so what type of movie will play out for you and for your household, for your family? That's, I think, what it's going to be about. Because some people who have, you know, been preparing for some type of systemic event may have less dramatic scenes within their own movie because they're able to take, you know, maintain themselves a little longer, a little better, or whatever in the transition period. But then again, for the people who are going to be caught off guard, not knowing what's coming, it's going to be an outright horror show or horror flick. Like it's going to be some life-altering unfortunately, in doing those horror shows, people tend to not come out on the other side of it. So that's going to be a lot of casualties. And then, of course, for the uber wealthy, the people, the evil forces at play behind the scenes trying to orchestrate this in a sick and twisted way, it might end up being a comedy for them. You know what I'm saying? So that's just, yeah. And that's where, like, man, you don't know how it's going to play out. We know it's going to be some adjusting taking place for sure. It's going to be very interesting to say the least. Anyway, it's a suspense movie. Yeah, that's what it's playing out to be right now. Like, we're all awake and aware and keeping our eyes open and just noticing things as they're unfolding around us. And okay, here's something else, man. Let me share some with you, man. Here's something else. It just hit me. Okay. So I was actually Let me see. I was actually just because I try to keep my wife up to speed on a lot of things, and I was actually telling her about how Abbott and DeSantis, they're moving human beings from other regions, other nations throughout our country in a willy-nilly fashion, trying to paint it as getting back to the Democrats. And I'm thinking, like, we don't know who, what, where, how in those groups of individuals, but we do know there's probably more bad actors in those planes and bus loads they're sending people places. And I'm like, I said this literally like maybe 48 hours ago. I'm like, you better believe it, below our borders, nations, in order to save cost on their government, as well as the burden on their overall political structure and economic structure, why not just unleash and open up your jail cells and let your worst criminals go? Give them a first-class ticket to the Mexican border and then let them cross. And you can make the promise, Governor Abbott or Governor DeSantis, they're going to give you a bus ticket and they'll give you a stimulus check in your pocket to go freely in the U.S. with no passport. Why not? We're going to do that for you. And I bet you a gang of hardcore, lifelong murderers, rapers, you name it, or let go. And then, of course, I'm like, I just got a feeling that a lot of people unloading their prisons right now, and they're sending them to our border. That just sounds about right. And then the other day I talked about Venezuelan gang lords in New York City, FaceTiming themselves, talking about bringing our country down. And then lo and behold, I see this. So I'm like, this can't make this stuff up, man. So this is from Congressman Troy Niels, who's a congressman in Texas, I believe. And he said, take of it what you may. It says, Department of Homeland Security confirmed that Venezuela empties prisons and sends violent criminals to our southern border. And so he said President Trump warned about this years ago. So whether or not, you can trust, DHS or not, I don't know. But it's just, to me, it's like, why would you not? If you're a leader of a country, why not ease your burden on yourself by getting rid of your worst of society and sending them somewhere else? And sure enough, I mean, whether or not, Maduro decided to unleash his prisoners and let them go, who knows? But right, we don't know. That's the point. And even DeSantis and Abbott may not know, but they're busting them and flying them to democratically led cities, which is no better. Anyway, right. So Tony B, he said, but Maduro did say, right. And I don't think Maduro is going to call a press conference either. TB said that, as a part of, helping relieve our, crime here in our own country, we're going to let our prisoners go. We're going to give them first round tickets to the U.S. Like Maduro would definitely that'll be, yeah, the U.S. It just wouldn't be good publicity. I don't think so. I don't think president of a nation going to actually tell us they're giving us their worst or sending their worst our way. That's that's an ultimate war strategy right there. Just let your worst go into your enemy's territory and let them. Yeah. Anyway, take of it what you may. Texas is so overwhelmed with illegals, 100% from all walks of life. And it's good to say they just not from Central and South America. You better believe we got some Middle East. We got some all those. Well, I haven't heard nothing about ISIS or Al Qaeda. Are they still around? Are they still in business or what? But believe me, I'm sure they got some cousins that came over here too. So you fly into Panama, walk on up, and yeah, I'll leave it alone. Joshua, DeSantis is a control opposition. So one thing I would never say that's not true, because I coined a new phrase that came to my mind the other day, because of with the whole EU deciding to put pressure on Hungary to say that they're no longer a democracy, they're an elected autocracy because they're shifting gears and going towards Russia. They're not dumb. They don't want to let their people freeze. Common sense. So the EU used the word democracy for that example there. And it's like, it's obvious that because they're not playing ball and according to your agenda, you're threatening them and saying that they're not a democracy. So literally you've weaponized the concept of a democracy just because Hungary's not playing the EU games. I'm thinking like, we've heard more than enough about the word democracy. Even Biden, in his little 60-minute speech, MAGA Republicans, they're, January 6th and destroying the Republic democracy, whatever. Bull crap. That's another weapon. That's another tool being used in agenda propaganda format. And I'm thinking like at this current moment, I know we got some people out there who still believe that there's some diehard, probably conservative, Rand Paul type individuals. They're present, but believe me, it's more show than bite. It's more show than it's more bark than bite. Just because those are 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are there's a minority amongst several hundred overly compromised elected officials. That small group of people who want to see righteousness done in our country, they just, unfortunately, I don't think they'll get anything done. They'll talk good, but then again, that's a part of their compromise because they'll never talk about and call out the true actors because they know either their life will be cut short or they'll not be elected as next come election time. So my whole point in that statement was we no longer have any form of democracy. We have a corruptocracy. So I try to put the words corrupt and autocracy or some type of that. So I say corruptocracy just because, in my opinion, if they're not outright corrupt, they're compromised. There's very little middle grounds when it comes to politics, in my opinion, because everybody knows what's going on right now. And that's why you got some select politicians that's allowed to talk about certain things while the majority continue to push what's obviously the World Economic Forum's agenda of trying to build back better, the Green New Deal, and all those initiatives that equate to what's called the Great Reset. And it's happening globally. Right. I understand that we had a republic, but whatever that means now, even that was used against us. So we're so far removed from any sound form of governance just because that's our greatest issue in and of itself is that we've been taken over by sovereign families and elites and all the categories we give people, which of course is, there's no real complaining about. It's nothing that's going to happen till the Lord comes back anyway, but still it's just the fact that you have some people who actually think that their vote really matters and it counts. And so, so just looking into that whole 1871, when our country was turned into a corporation, just more stuff like that as it surfaces now. Makes it hard to really know what's up, what's down. Anyway, I'm rambling too much. Give me this call. I did miss some calls. Forgive me. The Lord is working now. 100%. And that's why, like, overall, like, everything is fine. Everything is fine. Worst thing can happen is that, depending on where your spiritual life at, you might not take this right. But worst thing you can lose is your life. But is it really yours if you already gave it to the Lord itself? So if it's not yours anyway, you ain't got nothing to lose, really, overall. But so much more to gain now and for eternity. Donald says, don't forget Rand Paul investment scandal. Donald, brush me up on that one. There's so much stuff out here. It's hard to keep eyes on everything. Let me know exactly what that is, because I ain't saying he got a clean basket either. Concept says, I believe Lebanon, Venezuela, Cuba, etc. have been used as second stage to reset, where the first world countries will be the final, and here in the UK has used the Queen as a sacrifice. Yeah, I was thinking the other day, man. Apart from the Queen being old, just because there's so much demonic Satanism type stuff on that realm, it's like that could be all just a ploy, man. Like, she literally, and of course I watch a lot of science fiction movies, but I know behind the scenes they're attempting to do some things on a level of God, like transport souls between bodies, and I've seen more than enough stuff that makes me really question a lot of things to where I would just she's no longer the primary focal point for the monarchy. Her son is, and based upon all the resistance and a little bit of pockets of pushback I'm seeing from little clips of people saying, you're not my king and stuff like that. I mean, he might have an uphill battle to actually enjoy longevity on the throne for whatever that's worth. And it's my suspicion that as I played that clip before about him wanting to bring everybody together in a military style private company takeover and provide trillions at his disposal, whoever the hell his is, it's good to say he's going to make his reign count for how many ever years he has left to help usher us towards that one world government. So I personally believe he will be willing to sacrifice all of his riches to put him in the hands of whatever entity he has pledged his eternal allegiance to, of course, which, I just pointed towards, the demonic side, the spiritual, wicked places and high places, wicked people, wicked principalities and powers in high places. So that's what I attribute all this nonsense towards, because they got a job to do as well. How do we get to the end? So anyway, I love just ranting. Let me see. TB says, I've never seen the queen do anything. Maybe she is another one who ever said anything, but we believe it was her. Right. I don't, other than just me being born and hearing about a monarchy, and even that book I shared in the community page of Dr. Miles Monroe, for my kingdom seekers out there who may not have heard of him, I'd encourage you to check into his ministry. Even though he's passed, his message has maybe doubled or tripled since his departure. But that book there, that's why I'm so big on talking about kingdom and just the certain governance types, because he drew a lot of parallels from growing up in the Bahamas under the British colonial reign, and he does a lot of comparisons from the Bible in reference to how the millennial reign will operate. So he definitely has a lot of interesting nuggets to share, just give you something to think about. So for anybody who might be interested, I'll just put this up here as a shout out to my man Miles. He was very impactful in my spiritual maturity. But here's another one that's definitely worthwhile. It's a study guide, it's nice, thick, for my people who want to dive deeper in understanding kingdom concepts. I think Miles definitely, his ministry was heavily anointed. So check it out if you're interested. All right, what we got? Climate Greta. Yeah, I haven't heard from her in a while. Even though I saw some pictures of her, it was like some hidden camera type stuff, and she was basically calling out this climate stuff as a hoax when she was with some of her younger friends. So yeah, she's a paid puppet like everybody else. All right, let's get to this call here. What we got? Let me see. Get this out here. Hello, caller. What's the name we calling from?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm calling from New York, man. It's Joshua, man. I just want to spit some knowledge, wisdom, and understanding for your YouTube community, man.
For sure. Appreciate you, man. What you got?
Yeah, man. I just want to speak about how this metaverse and this pandemic, man, it's all leading to a epic economic collapse, man. I've seen a lot of videos about how Russia and China, they collaborating because of the economic sanctions that the United States is placing on them, is also hurting their economy. So when Russia decides to fight back and they close the pipeline and all that, it's all forcing us to a digital dollar, man.
Yeah.
And that digital dollar is going to be mandatory. What people don't understand is that the online, the Zoom meetings, all that metaverse stuff, man, that they got people signed up to accept. That's going to be the mandatory enrollment process. The same way we was mandatory enrolled to have vaccines and masks, the same way they're going to mandatory enroll us to have a digital dollar. And that digital dollar is going to be controlled by the blockchain technology, the same technology that Bitcoin is controlled, where every transaction is monitored on the ledger. And I believe that we can be nodes in this ledger. As I mean, like on certain networks like Tor browser, every computer is a node. So it's a relay. One computer sends information to the next, and the transaction, that's how Bitcoin is transacted.
Yeah.
They solve mathematical problems. And I feel like if we are all have some sort of chip, you know what I'm saying, or digital imprint, whether it be a tattoo on us or something, we can all be nodes, and the government will be having full control over currency transactions because we're going to be sending it digitally. And that's what they want.
Right.
When you use cash, nobody knows where the cash goes. So you could have criminals use cash under the table, buy things illegally. Like right now in New York, we got a lot of illegal stuff that you're not supposed to have, but somehow, some way, somebody still gets it in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just want to spread that knowledge because people don't seem to understand that this pandemic was a precursor for Agenda 2030, Agenda 21. You know what I mean? The global governance. And it's not going to be America. America is actually being a follower right now, following China's social credit system.
Right.
They actually want that system right now in place with all the citizens of our
Right. Hey,
country.
that sounds
you know?
good, man.
And that's why we see.
No, you dropped some nuggets, man. I appreciate that.
We see a civil war right now, man. They trying to start a beef on race. They trying to start a beef on anti-vaxxers. When the real beef is with the people trying to take away our liberty for our safety. When they're the ones that's taking away our safety with these bullshit conditions, man. We have better conditions to live in, man. I just seen the news the other day, man. They got toxic water in the projects, fam. They can't even use project water because it's shit in the water, man.
Yeah.
And it's shit that they're giving to us on the news. And I'm not gonna stand for any of it, man. I'm gonna speak my piece, man.
Yeah.
Because they want to censor us YouTubers and everybody that has something to say. You get censored, you get banned, you get demonetized.
Right.
You know what I mean? And people that don't care, trust me, they're not gonna be your friends when shit hit the fan.
Right. Well, hey, man, appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling in, boss, man. Good stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, we got. Yeah, good stuff, man. That's that was a lot jam packed right there. All right, so let me see here. I will touch on the Lebanon situation. I see that's brought up again, and that's just another example of what is probable globally for every single bank, just because when you deposit funds into a privately held institution, you didn't read the disclaimer saying that it belongs to them and you are their creditor and they're paying you interest, or were supposed to pay you interest, and that it's not yours. So what's different is that they're actually going in banks and just popping off in banks and bringing guns, and it's craziness. But I'm assuming you guys saw some clips. They're all out there, but here's just something. Positive storm 5 banks as Lebanon cash crisis worsens. So people are trying to get whatever they got out of those banks. And I want to say some of those accounts might have dollars in them. And because of the worsening crisis of the Lebanese currency, the banks are trying to hold on to those dollars and not let them out, because once they're out in the system, they are going to be short of dollars. So, and that's why like this whole, de-dollarization process will be a long drawn out process, just because we have events like this where people in Lebanon and all the other countries that are failing, they still value Federal Reserve notes. I had some around here. They still value those things heavily. So as long as there's a demand, that meets a need for somebody. Therefore, that provides a little bit of longevity for those units. Whereas in here, people who have large reserves will be bringing them back here to buy real things, i.e. land and everything else, to make right what was done wrong with the U.S. using debt to hijack the world. All right, what else we got here? Blythe, silver, and platinum, 100%. Russia is fighting against the U.S. empire now with guns for real from freedom of the U.S. empire. Yeah, so this week is going to be it's going to be some tremors in the markets this week. It's good to say that as of now, the markets are set to open up in the green, but yeah, you better believe something's going to flip. But Americans has hundreds of millions of guns to fight against Washington, D.C. for freedom. Yeah, Rolf, and that still remains. But yet, I would imagine they would like to remove those from our possession, or they may just go to another plan B or C. And that's why I think they're still creating and developing large amounts of robots and weaponizing those things. And they can definitely put them things out in the streets to not necessarily go house to house, door to door, but it could cause some problems. But time will tell. But in the meantime, we know what's happening. If we have not been just taking whatever remaining time we do have left of being able to connect via social media, as well as being able to go to the grocery store and see shelves that are relatively full, count your blessings and be grateful, just because it's not guaranteed to always remain that way. And based upon everything that's happening behind the scenes, I don't think they want that to remain that way, because how else can they usher in, the credit score system, the digital ID system, eventually with a rebranded version of currency, which is a part of their plans and everything else, because it's all about them wanting to create a permissioned society where we got to ask them, and we got to be within that carbon credit score ballpark number that they want to roll out as well. So yeah, that's all a part of the Great Reset, which is well underway. And that right there is the epitome of what is considered the New World Order. And I was actually thinking about that earlier, about every politicians have, the words New World Order has rolled off their lips at some point in their presidency or whatever. And that's what they're all ultimately working towards. And I'm thinking, like, what would be the peak of the New World Order? What would it look like at its highest peak if they were to accomplish exactly what they want? And then that's when I thought about, wow, like the peak at the pinnacle of the New World Order would be literally the establishment of the Antichrist, the abomination of desolation, where he is actually presenting himself as God. I think that will be the ultimate agenda at the end of all this that the globalists are working towards, because we all know that they're working on behalf of the dark forces that oversee things in this realm. And so it's just my suspicion that all this stuff is leading towards that direction, which to me lets us know that we're right on course for everything the Bible predicted or we're told about well in advance. So none of this is new. And so, yeah, we will see though. All right, people, what we got about the hour point. So anyway, just want to connect this night. Hope everyone's doing well. Definitely, it's going to be an interesting week. We'll have more than enough stuff to talk about. Feel free to, anybody have any different expertise they want to share with the community, let me know. Call out to me, reach out to me. Make sure you join a Telegram group so you can stay plugged in, share articles, thoughts, or whatever. And definitely take advantage of opportunities as they present themselves, deliver value to other people, give your loved ones a hug, and most importantly, make sure if you're a believer in Christ, you're sharing the good news, because ultimately that's the message we're supposed to focus on, because it's not about this life, but the one to come. So anyway, as always, I want to close out with a little bit of prayer for all my prayer warriors out there. I think a community that prays together definitely grows together and stays together. So I'm believing in the Lord to continue to bless everyone who blesses me with their presence as well as their support. So I appreciate that. And gives me a good chance to share my faith with you. And hopefully you guys are encouraged to share your faith with others as well. That's how the message is spread. And let's close out a little bit of a good word as always. If you would like to get in agreement with me, that'd be great. But definitely want to lift it up and give props to the one who makes this possible, the King himself. So Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to join tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard, Lord, to just gather and to have a little bit of chit chat back and forth, but more importantly, to end this on lifting you up and giving you honor and glory for everything that you've done for your people, Father. We thank you for people in positions of power that will definitely make a difference in these next couple of days and years. We ask that you will give us the heart of courage and the willingness, Lord, to share our faith with others so that more people can be brought into the family and your kingdom can continue to reign supreme now and for all eternity. We just thank you in advance for everything you're going to do this week. Looking forward to a lot of opportunities, Father. In the name of Jesus, we thank you. Amen. All right, people. That's all she wrote. Be blessed, be safe, and be back at it tomorrow. Same time, same place. And other than that, enjoy your night. Peace. Here's a great opportunity for you to get your weight up. Let's face it, our purchasing power and our currency has been destroyed in real time. That's why I'm excited to tell you about my partnership with Bullion Max. Bullion Max will ship gold and silver directly to your door for you to hold at your home or in your own safe. To help you get started, I worked out a special offer with them. Get Bullion Max Silver Starter Kit at employee pricing. Just go to bullionmax.com/RTD. This kit includes 5 of the most desirable silver products to invest in, including the American Silver Eagle and the Silver Australian Kangaroo. This offer is limited to 1 per household while supplies last, so get yours today and take advantage of this opportunity to get your weight up. Now, you can't just stop at getting your weight up. You also got to get your calories up, because definitely a food shortage is underway between droughts, flooding, and all the climate issues being thrown our way. America's food supply is near its breaking point. That's why survival food is more important than ever. Create your own stockpile of the best-selling 4 Patriot survival food kits. It's not ordinary food. We're talking about 25-year super survival food, hand-packed right in the family-owned facility in the USA. The kits are compact, sturdy, water-resistant. They have different delicious breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. Go to 4patriots.com/RTD to get your 3-month survival kit. You'll get their famous guarantee for an entire year after your order, plus 10 free gifts and free shipping. To take advantage of this opportunity, go to 4patriots.com/RTD to build your own stockpile today, because beyond the weight, you're going to need your calories as well. Links in the description.